Hey guys, in this 5-minute practice exercise, I'm going to guide you through all the major scales and key centers. The exercise is designed so you really get to know the pool of notes that exist in each key and the related chords that go along with them. So let's dive right in and check it out. So this exercise is actually focused on the familiarity of the key center rather than the speed and finger strength. So what I mean by that is we're just aiming to be really familiar with our scales, knowing that this is C major. We're not aiming for speed, we're not aiming for fast and flashy. We're just going to go at a nice, slow, easy pace. And the idea is when you've mastered this, you should be really, really familiar with all the key centers. So it will make it really easy for working out songs in any key. So here are the instructions. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the scale, and the scale is going to go for 2 octaves like this. 2 octaves means it's just going to the second C past the one we start on. Okay, what the video will have is a graphic which will tell you what fingers to use. So 1 is actually the thumb, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's what we mean by the numbers there. There is a little technique we've got to learn, which is crossing under. So we start with our thumb here, and then we have to cross under like this. And then when we get to this finger, we cross under again. And we do that all the way up the scale. When we come back, we're crossing over with the other fingers. So the thumb is kind of like the anchor point. Okay, now because this exercise is about familiarity with key centers, we're going to do the scale once, and then we're going to do a melody once. And the melody I've chosen is from Elvis Presley, Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And it's basically just having your fingers on these 5 notes of the scale here. And we're just going 1, 5, 1. 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. And we're going to do that up each key center. So it's basically just doing that same pattern up each key center. Because really, it's one thing to know your scales, but the idea of learning them is so you know that they underpin the melodies that exist in songs. And I thought that melody was a nice easy one because we just keep our hand in the same shape. It's pretty well known and it gives you an idea of how to craft a melody. So when you go to work out a melody in future, you get that idea that they've all come from these major scales. Now, I'm actually going to do some stuff with the left hand too. But when you first do this exercise, I would just recommend doing hands separate. I wouldn't be doing hands together. When we do the scale, we're going to do a 1, 5, 4, 5 pattern. I'll show you what that looks like. 1, 5, 4, then 5. And just to finish it there. And then when we get to that point, I want you to jump up the octave for the melody. And we're going to do this chord progression in the left hand. And this will cover all the major and minor chords in every key center. So here it is. 1, 3, 6, 5, 4, 2, 5. And that's the idea. So we're going to do that in every key. So here's the example. Now, I've got to stress to you, please practice hands separately. There's no point trying to dive in to do all this hands together. It's really important that you spend some time just getting those chords down, getting those scales under your fingers, and then eventually trying to work them in hands together. And that'll be an amazing foundation because you would have gone through all the key centers, you would have had experience building a melody, and you would have played all the chords that go with those key centers as well. So really, really awesome foundation that will lead you to learning songs in the future. Now, the awesome thing about this exercise is I've created it so there's scope for simplifying it or extending it. So, for example, if you just want to work on your scales, don't worry about when we get to the point of doing the melody. You can just do the scale again, and that will work over the melody. So I'll show you what I mean. See what I mean? So it doesn't matter if the video is doing one thing but you're just focusing on the other. But I do want you to try and keep it in time with the tempo. Now, speaking of that, if that is going too fast for you, play half the speed of the scale. I'll show you what I mean. For every 2 notes that the video does, you can just do 1 note like this. I'll have to play it here. So when you're starting out, you might just play at that speed, or you might do some at the full speed and some at the half speed, depending on what keys you're more comfortable with. Now, scales take time to learn. Think of this video as a resource, not as an expectation. I'm going to put chapters for each of the scales so you can go back and check them out. You can target the ones you need to work on. But the idea is that you can keep coming back to this video, keep working on it till eventually you can do all 12 scales in your right hand. You can do all chord progressions in your left hand. And then ultimately do hands together with all of those. So pretty exciting once you can get to that stage, and it gives you amazing foundation for learning any song on the piano. So I really hope you enjoyed this exercise. We're going to go at 80 beats per minute, which means, you guessed it, that exercise will be over in 5 minutes. So if you can keep up with that speed, the exercise will only take you 5 minutes. But obviously when you're starting out, stop and start as you need to and get those all under your fingers there. All right, you got this. Let's go through all our 12 scales and chord progressions in 5 minutes. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, well done. You just got through all your scales if you're at this point. Remember, it won't happen overnight. Scales will take time to learn. This video is a resource for you, not an expectation. So do adapt this exercise to wherever your ability's at. But just know if you focus on this, practice it a little bit every day, eventually you'll have it all mastered and you will be in an awesome, awesome, awesome place for learning any song you want on the piano. Thank you so much for following this exercise. I hope you found it beneficial to learning your scales and understanding the key centers and the related chords and the melodies that you can create from that. You're all legends, and I'll see you in the next video.